I'm Nicole.
The conference room at the title company was filled with the stale smell of coffee and lemon polish. Diane was sitting across from me, munching on mints one after another, looking triumphant in her brand new cream blazer. My father, Robert, sat beside her, looking pale and sweating through his dress shirt, his eyes fixed on a potted fern in the corner. Mr. Henderson, the loan officer, cleared his throat and started the closing process. He slid a thick document towards Diane. This is the Uniform Residential Loan Application Form 1003. Please verify the information, especially the declarations on page 4. I watched as Diane picked up the pen without hesitation. Mr. Henderson droned on, Section M. Down payment. You are certifying that the $50,000 currently in escrow is from your personal savings and is not borrowed funds. Is that correct? For a split second, I felt the urge to stop her, to save my father from this mess. But I held back. If I stopped her now, it would just be a family squabble. I needed her to cross the line into federal criminal territory. Diane said clearly. That is correct. She checked the box and signed her name. The sound of the pen on the paper was like a lock clicking shut. Then it was my father's turn. He hesitated, his hand trembling, but Diane nudged his knee under the table, and he signed. Mr. Henderson then turned to me. Now, Nicole, we just need your signature on the quitclaim deed and the gift letter to clear the title. Instead of picking up the pen, I reached into my bag and placed a heavy file on the table. The dull thud in the silent room was like a gavel coming down. I looked directly at Mr. Henderson. I can't sign this. That is not my signature on the down payment check, and I never applied for this bridge loan. Diane laughed nervously and tried to brush it off, but I cut her off. I slid the file to Mr. Henderson. This is a notarized affidavit of identity theft filed with the FDC this morning. Beneath it is the lender's own forensic audit trail. As Mr. Henderson opened the file, his smile vanished. The audit showed that the electronic signature originated from an IP address registered to Robert and Diane on October 14th at 2:15 p.m. On that day, I was in a combat zone, patching up injured soldiers. Diane exploded, accusing me of lying, but Mr. Henderson stopped her. He flipped through the documents and realized the gravity of the situation. This isn't a family dispute, he said flatly. I added, if you fund this mortgage, knowing the down payment is the product of identity theft and wire fraud, you become an accessory under federal law. Mr. Henderson closed the file, pulled the papers away from Diane, and stood up. The closing is terminated. This transaction is frozen. Diane screamed, and my father said nothing. Mr. Henderson called security. As the elevator doors closed, Diane rushed in and attacked me, trying to grab the file. I restrained her under the security camera and told her, this is a boundary. You don't cross it anymore. When the elevator opened, security took her away. Outside, my phone rang, but I didn't answer. I blocked Robert's and Diane's numbers. It was no longer personal. It was a federal matter. Weeks later, Diane was indicted for wire fraud, aggravated identity theft, attempted bank fraud, and assault. The house deal fell through, and my father lost his retirement savings to cover her debts.
It all started a while back.
I'm a combat medic, and I've always been cautious with my finances. I was sitting on my bunk one day, doing my weekly credit report check. Most people check their social media in the morning, but I've always been different. I've lived in a house where privacy was a luxury, especially with Diane around. I scrolled to the bottom of the recent inquiries list and saw a hard money lender had run a credit check on me 48 hours ago. I called my father, Robert. When he answered, I skipped the pleasantries and asked, why is a high-risk lender running my credit? He stammered, it's nothing. Diane was looking into some investment options. Maybe she clicked the wrong button online. I knew he was lying. Diane was a calculating woman, not someone who made accidental mistakes. I remembered when I was 18, sitting at the kitchen table doing homework while Diane paid bills. She was calm but cold as she said, electricity is up, water is up, and food costs are sky high. Do you have any idea how much it costs to keep you alive? She had a ledger where she tracked every penny spent on me, seeing it as a loan she expected to get back. I decided to find out the truth. I went straight to the lender's web portal. Using my email, I managed to reset the password because Diane had made a crucial mistake. She couldn't change the recovery method without my phone. Once I got in, I found the loan approval for $50,000 pending disbursement. I was looking for the audit trail, and I found it. The IP address on the signature was the one I set up for my father years ago. On the day of the supposed signature, I was in a combat zone. I collected all the evidence and put it in a folder named Evidence. A few days later, Diane called me, sweet, talking about a Great Lake house they found. She said the bank needed my signature on some release forms to clear up an old student loan. It was an obvious lie, as I had paid for my education through my military service. I knew she was trying to lure me into signing the final mortgage deed and take on the liability of the fraudulent down payment. But I decided to play along. I needed her to expose herself fully. So I showed up at the title company in my dress uniform. And that's how we ended up in that tense moment in the conference room. Now, I'm sitting in my modest apartment. My bank balance is safe and mine. Closure is a locked door and a silent phone, and I've paid the price for it. If you've ever had to protect yourself from those who should have protected you, leave a heart. And if you want to know how the court case ended, subscribe.